Some vehicles need no introduction. In fact, they have won Car of the Year awards before in the past. But for the Mark 8 GTI, it has experienced some tumultuous years ever since it arrived. Because people like myself prefer the Mark 7 or 7.5, we like the looks, we like the styling, we also much preferred the pricing. Unfortunately for the Mark 8 GTI, the styling went a little too far, the technology is a bit too confusing, and those two aspects have overshadowed just how good of a hatchback this really is. Now in the 2020s, vehicles are getting more and more expensive. The Subaru WRX is more expensive than it was before. The GR Corolla, every single rival in this market has become a little too out of reach for a lot of younger enthusiasts. But the Mark 8 GTI has remained to be the most affordable hatchback you can buy right now. And in today's video, we're going to go over the pros and cons that makes the Mark 8 GTI a potential Car of the Year award winner for Boston Auto Blog, and then go over the cons that could hurt this car in the long run in its class and for this award. So if you're ready, then I'm ready. Let's dive right into this video. Now, as always, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Gervais Volkswagen here in Lowell, Massachusetts, for letting me come down here to check out the Volkswagen GTI once again. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Volkswagen inventory. Now, like I just said, affordability is what's most important here, and the Volkswagen GTI is the most affordable hot hatch you can buy right now, brand new. On the lower end with the S, you're looking at spending right around $34,000. On the higher end with the Autobahn trim, you're paying around $42,000 to $43,000. But there are some good deals out there right now that Volkswagen is offering, so you might find some discounts here and there. Comparing it to other hatchbacks in this market, such as the GR Corolla, the Honda Civic Type R, and Volkswagen Golf R, all three of them are very expensive. In fact, the GR Corolla is now coming in close to $40,000, and a well-equipped model will be around $45,000. The Civic Type R, there's still markups on those at some dealerships. You could be spending $50,000, $55,000. And then with the Golf R, it's a $50,000 hatchback. So if you're looking to buy a car at around $35,000, the GTI is all you got because of its practicality and its performance. Hyundai isn't in this game anymore. Subaru isn't currently in this game anymore. This is really the end of the line for affordable hot hatches. We also can't forget about the enthusiast-tuned performance out of the Mark 8.5 GTI, starting off with this engine, the EA888. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 241 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Unfortunately, with this facelift, you do not receive a 6-speed manual anymore. That is one drawback here out of the 8.5. But it's also some things that you don't see on paper that really stands out of the 8.5 GTI, and that's going to be the MQB Evo platform. What Volkswagen has done with this chassis, they've stiffened it. They've given it a lot more rigidity. Also, it handles and corners so much better than the 7 and 7.5. It's flatter in the corners. So it's not just the straight line speed, it's the lateral movement, it's the handling, it's the cornering, it's the stiffer steering feel that's going to make you feel a lot more engaged here right out of the box, without even tuning or modifying this hatchback. Now, you are going to have front-wheel drive. That's one of the downsides here by not going with the Golf R, although front-wheel drive has never been an issue for a lot of GTI owners. Then when it pertains to fuel economy, you're looking at right on 24 miles per gallon in the city and 32 miles per gallon on the highway. Factoring in that you have a car that's tuned this aggressively with a sports-tuned suspension and handles this well along with the straight line speed, it's also somewhat economical. Also part of this 8.5 update that makes the GTI just a bit more appealing for this model year and elevating it into the conversation for Car of the Year is going to be the improved looks. Now, from far away, you wouldn't really notice much of a difference. It still doesn't look as good as the 7 and 7.5, although the minor cosmetic update I think does go a long way. And for some reason, with the exterior color that we have here today, with it being black, you really notice it, especially for the lower portion of the front bumper. It makes its way into that grille design. The honeycomb mesh grille is much more enhanced for the 8 and 8.5 than the 7 and 7.5. They've retained the 5-point LED fog lights, which I think has been a really nice touch for this generation. You have the LED headlights and LED daytime running lights, and also the aggressive body lines on the hood. From this angle, it looks really sinister. Up close, it looks really nice. You're going to have the LED light bar that runs the length of the front fascia, which sits just below the red accent here. Very typical for the GTI. And then you're going to have an illuminated emblem, at least for the Autobahn trim, which Volkswagen loves to use right now in their lineup. It is a nice classy touch here for a car that is supposed to be sports tuned and aggressive. But what do you guys think? I think up front they've done a really good job here for a generation that's received no love when it comes to the exterior appearance. Then also, as we make our way over to the side profile, you know I love these wheels. Yes, they kind of look like they come right off of an Alfa Romeo Stelvio or Giulia Quadrifoglio, but this look is very Euro-like, stands out, and I think really fits the hatchback look for the GTI. The one thing I don't like, though, is this GTI badge. That needs to go. That's the one thing I have not liked about the 8.5 update. Then as we make our way around to the back here, Volkswagen kept it simple with the styling. They did say they updated the taillights. I really wouldn't be able to tell from far away, but they are LED, so full LED light setup for the front and rear fascias, giving you that modern appearance. They still haven't changed the GTI badge there. It's not straight, it's not center. That's one thing that really stands out to me on the Mark 8 and 8.5. And of course, we had the dual exhaust outs giving us that sporty and aggressive appearance for the lower portion of the rear bumper. But I think what they've done here cosmetically for the exterior is just enough to make the GTI look really nice here in this class, and more specifically in its price range. Then hopping inside for the Volkswagen GTI to cap off what makes this hatchback so good for 2025 is the value that you receive on the lower end out of the S and SE. The Autobahn trim that I am in today, it is a bit of a stretch, over $42,000, because we're now at a price threshold where you can cross-shop this with a GR Corolla, possibly a used Honda Civic Type R, and a Subaru WRX. And all three of those models offer a manual transmission. So it comes down to what you're looking for too as an enthusiast, but I also think that the GR Corolla and the Type R are better cars when you get between $40,000 and $50,000. The only feature that I think is worth it out of the Autobahn trim is the dynamic chassis control, helping out with the handling, and then even just the ride quality and smoothness out of this hatchback. But with the S and SE coming in at just over $34,000 and then around $40,000 for a well-equipped SE, you're receiving a lot. You're getting heated front seats, you're getting dual zone climate control, a full digital gauge cluster, a decently sized infotainment system. You are getting the essentials. You are getting things that are going to make the driving experience enjoyable, on top of the fact you have the MQB Evo platform and this turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. The Autobahn, I think there's a lot of add-ons that are unnecessary, such as the Harman Kardon audio system, 3-zone climate control, heated outboard seats. I mean, you got to remember, this is a small, hot hatch. This is not a family car. So it's really unnecessary to have those heated outboard seats. Who are you impressing? Who are you warming up on a colder day like today? Those are just the things that I'm going to be focusing on here. But with the S and SE, you're getting a great car. You're getting a car that's going to keep you engaged and going to give you a lot of that fun factor that you want under $40,000. Also, when it comes to the fit and finish, I think Volkswagen has done a pretty good job here. Yes, there's hard touch plastics, but hey, you still have the technology. You also have this really nice steering wheel. It feels really nice in the hands. Aggressive 10-2 and firm 9-3 grips, paddle shifters, and also physical buttons on the steering wheel too. Now, unfortunately, the love fest has to end for the Volkswagen GTI, and we got to get to those cons. And a lot of it centers around this technology and this head unit more specifically, because Volkswagen has not addressed any of this, and it's infuriating. Sure, they gave us physical buttons on the steering wheel. Fantastic. But we don't have anything for the infotainment system. No physical buttons and dials for the dual zone climate control, AC, front rear defrosters, fan speed, fan direction. No dial for the volume and tuning. You're going to have a dedicated climate menu, which I can't stand. I just want to have dials. Why can't I have that? Also, I personally think this infotainment system kind of sucks in a way without having quick access icons on the dashboard to get your different menus efficiently. If you're technologically inclined, you're going to love this technology. You're going to love it because it's more in depth than what you are going to find out of Honda and Toyota. But if you're someone who doesn't want to deal with any of this, this is a major step back from the older MIB user software found in the Mark 7 and 7.5 with those smaller touchscreens. This was actually going a bit too far, and why so many people didn't like the Mark 8 when it first came out. The digital gauge cluster, though, I love. I absolutely love it. The resolution and quality is fantastic. I think it's a bit more in-depth and intuitive than what we are finding now from Audi products like the A5 and Q5. With the Autobahn, you have a head-up display, which I don't know. I don't think it's really necessary, but it's at least there to keep your eyes on the road ahead of you rather than looking down at screens. Also, you're going to have haptic feedback buttons for your outside lighting system. I really don't like that. I want them to change that in future model years. Also, haptic feedback buttons for that climate menu, drive mode selector, your park assist features, and safety systems. You'll have 2 USB-C inputs and then all this gloss black trim, which is going to be difficult to clean and maintain throughout the years of ownership. But it's mostly the technology that I really can't stand here out of the 8 and 8.5. Continuing on with the weak spots that primarily center around the interior is going to be the fact that the second row is a bit cramped for taller passengers. You have right around 35 inches of legroom, which is going to be very tight. That's less than the Volkswagen GLI, less than the Honda Civic Type R. So if you're someone who does have a family or you have friends tagging along with you all the time, this might not be the ideal choice. Obviously, the cargo space helps out a bit, right around 19 cubic feet of room, so that gives you some flexibility compared to the GLI. But I do think that in this class, there are more spacious options out there if you're looking for a sports-tuned car. And then lastly, but probably more superficially on my part, is the fact that for 2025, there is no manual option. As an enthusiast who wants to rotate the gears himself, having the DSG is great, but a manual would be better, especially right now where a lot of manufacturers are still using them in this class, like Hyundai with the Elantra N, Subaru with the WRX, the GR Corolla, and Honda Civic Type R. But that's basically it out of the Volkswagen GTI. It is a fantastic car, especially on the lower end, like I talked about before, out of the S and SE. And hey, this has always been a perennial all-star. It has always been a Car of the Year candidate. But for 2025, are the weak points going to hurt this car? Well, let's find out in a couple of weeks. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Volkswagen GTI. And also let me know what you think is the next nominee for our Boston All Blog Car of the Year award. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.